My wife and I have been married for 5 years, and in all that time she's never once smiled at me, claiming it's just her cold nature. But then her first love came back, and she not only let him move into our home, but also gave him my clothes to wear. When I saw her gently blow-drying that man's hair, I suddenly understood that she wasn't cold and distant with everyone. I was supposed to be on a business trip out of town, but when I found out Chloe had a work dinner tonight, I decided to come back early. I didn't tell her. Chloe has bad stomach ulcers, and the pain has been especially severe lately. If she couldn't get out of the dinner, my only option was to go home and prepare the herbal remedy for her. I was hoping to give her a pleasant surprise, but I ended up giving myself a nasty shock instead. I used my key to open the door. The lights were on, so Chloe was home, but when I called out her name, no one answered. All I could hear was the sound of a hair dryer coming from the bathroom. I followed the sound, and the scene before me made me freeze in place. Chloe wasn't alone. There was a strange man in the bathroom with her. The man's calves were bare, and he was wearing nothing but a large white shirt, one of mine. His curly, damp hair was loose, and Chloe, dressed in a red silk pajama set, stood behind him, holding the hair dryer in one hand while running her other hand through his hair. The way she was positioned, it was as if she was cradling him in her arms. In the reflection of the vanity mirror, I saw a faint smile on Chloe's face. The corners of her mouth were turned up, her gaze soft and tender. Yes, tender. I was actually seeing tenderness in Chloe. It was blinding. Chloe and I had known each other for 5 years, married for 5 years. She was cold by nature, cold to others and indifferent to me, as if nothing could ever stir any strong emotion in her. She would smile, but it never reached her eyes. I never paid much mind to any of it. Everyone's different, and since I chose her, I had to accept all of her, flaws and all. At least I thought she treated me differently than she treated everyone else, but now it seemed I was just another person to her too. Leaning against the door frame, my mind was racing, but I forced myself to calm down as quickly as I could. I knocked on the open door. "Excuse me, you two." The romantic bubble I had just burst was shattered, and the two of them, just a few feet away, finally noticed I was there. The man jumped, letting out a startled cry. Chloe turned her head in shock as well. Subconsciously, she tried to shield the man behind her. It was a small movement, one she probably didn't even realize she'd made. She frowned at me. "Why are you back early?" I raised an eyebrow, crossing my arms over my chest. "Why? Did my early return interrupt something important you two have? Have you already slept together, or were you just about to?" The color drained from Chloe's face instantly. "Ethan, what the hell are you talking about?" I slammed my suitcase onto the floor with a loud thud. "Then why don't you tell me what this looks like? A man and a woman alone in a bathroom, getting creative, are we?" "Ethan," the man hiding behind Chloe suddenly spoke up. "Mr. Miller, you're misunderstanding the situation. There's nothing sordid going on between Chloe and me, like you think. We're just friends." He had a look of pure indignation, as if I were the one insulting him. I tilted my head, looking at him. "If you're going to be that shameless, then at least have the decency to get your chest off my wife's back." Then I turned back to Chloe. "Is it warm? Does it feel good?" The man's face flushed with shame and anger, and he quickly pulled away from Chloe. "How could you say something like that?" I sneered. "Like what? That it's vulgar, trashy? You two might not say it, but you're certainly doing it." "You." The man started, furious, and tried to step forward, but Chloe held him back. "Both of you shut up." The man sounded wounded. "Chloe, are you just going to let him slander me like this?" I scoffed. "What else do you expect? For her to yell at me for you? To hit me? That would only make things messy, since our names are still on the same marriage certificate. Or you could just be brave and tell me you're in love. I'm a generous guy. I'm always happy to help true love find its way." "Shut up." Chloe grabbed my arm and pulled me out of the room. "We need to talk." I didn't resist, just glanced back at the man with a smile. "Make yourself at home." The man was speechless. Chloe pulled me into the bedroom. She slammed the door shut behind us. For the first time, the ever-composed Chloe seemed to be losing her control. I glanced at the bed. It was perfectly made, not a single wrinkle. I clicked my tongue in mock disappointment. "Looks like you two haven't gotten around to it yet. I guess I came home too soon." "Shut your mouth." Chloe's eyes were blazing. "Do you have to be so vile? You were never like this before." I let out a small laugh. "Ding dong. You've just unlocked the real Ethan. Surprise, surprise. Didn't see that coming, did you?" Chloe took a deep breath. I don't want to fight with you. We can talk about this later. He's a friend from college, Liam. He just got back from overseas and doesn't have a place to stay yet. So I told him he could stay here for the night. Ethan, stop making a scene. I looked at her. This is what you dragged me in here to tell me. Her silence was its own answer. It would be a lie to say I wasn't disappointed. I had been willing to come in here with her because I was hoping for something more. I hoped that despite my harsh words, she would give me a reasonable explanation. Clearly, I was expecting too much. I get it. He's staying here. Fine. You two do whatever you want, I said, turning to leave. Chloe grabbed my arm. Where are you going? I stared at her dumbfounded. A threesome? I'm not into that. Her grip on my arm tightened painfully. Ethan, have you lost your mind? I yanked my arm away. Am I the one who's lost his mind? Or are you? Do you have any idea what you're doing, Chloe? You're disgusting me. I opened the door and walked out. The man had changed out of my shirt and was now in his own clothes. His eyes were red-rimmed as he forced a smile at Chloe. Chloe, I should probably go. I don't want to cause any more trouble. Then he turned to me. Mr. Miller, you've really misunderstood. Here's your shirt back. He tried to hand me the shirt. Just as he let go, I took a step back and the shirt dropped to the floor. Garbage belongs in the trash can, not in my hands. Chloe's head snapped up, her eyes fixed on me, her expression unreadable. Suddenly she spoke. You don't have to go. Stay here. The man's eyes lit up. He murmured, I don't know, Chloe. You and Mr. Miller. Chloe cut him off. Don't worry about it. I said you can stay, so you're staying. Where else would you go? Their conversation, as if I wasn't even there, made me sick to my stomach. I didn't want to say another word. I picked up my suitcase from the floor and walked out without looking back. I hurried downstairs. A blast of cool air hit me, and I couldn't help but shiver. It was immediately followed by a wave of nausea. I bent over, dry heaving. Sadness, heartbreak, anger, resentment. I couldn't sort through my own emotions. All I felt was a deep exhaustion, body and soul, and the calm I had feigned moments ago completely fell apart. It was all so absurd. I had never imagined Chloe would cheat on me. She was always so calm, so self-possessed. For all these years, there had never been anyone else. It wasn't for a lack of trying on other people's part. She just always knew how to maintain her distance. I had always thought that if she ever developed feelings for someone else, she would end things with me first, not do something as disgusting as cheating. It wasn't about love, it was about character. But reality had just slapped me hard across the face. Chloe, what in the world are you doing, and who the hell was that man? With this question burning in my mind, I drove to our old house. I remembered a photo album in the storage room, a birthday gift someone had given her back in college. It was filled with pictures of Chloe, some of her alone, some with other people. It was a gift someone had clearly put a lot of thought into. I had asked her who it was from. A college classmate, she'd said. A guy. I had asked, figuring a girl wouldn't have made something so detailed. Chloe had just hummed in agreement. I wanted to ask if the guy had a crush on her, but she changed the subject. At the time, I didn't think much of it. Her reaction when we talked about it was so flat, so devoid of emotion, that I had no desire to press the issue. The old house wasn't far, just a 20-minute drive from our place in Chicago. I always preferred it to our new condo. Chloe and I had lived there for 2.5 years before we moved out after the wedding. Sometimes when I was in a bad mood, I'd come here for a bit. It was a place where I could relax. I opened the door and stepped inside, my mood fouler than it had ever been in this house. I quickly found the album in the storage room. The Chloe in the photos was younger, still unsmiling, but with a youthful energy about her. Many of them looked like candid shots, mostly of her in profile. In one of the few photos where she faced the camera, she was wearing her cap and gown. It was from her graduation. She had pictures with different people, both male and female friends. I examined each photo carefully. Suddenly, my hand froze. This was a photo unlike any of the others. Two people were standing very close, their arms pressed tightly together. The girl, Chloe, had the corners of her mouth turned up, her body leaning slightly into the boy. The boy was beaming, his head resting gently on her shoulder. His face had changed a little over the years, but I recognized him instantly. It was him. On the back of the photo, two names were written, Chloe Davis and Liam Carter. And right between their names was a small, hand-drawn heart. I was woken up by the sound of construction upstairs. I hadn't slept well, drifting in and out of a restless daze all night. When I finally opened my eyes, my head was still foggy. It took me a moment to realize I was in the old house. It had been too late to go anywhere else last night, so I just crashed on the sofa. Not far from me, someone was sitting, staring at me with an intensity that was impossible to ignore. It was Chloe. I wasn't surprised to see her here. I remembered a time we'd fought, and I'd stormed out. I'd only been at the old house for an hour before she found me. I had asked her, "How did you know I'd be here?" "Where else would you go?" she had replied. She knew I had nowhere else to go. I was an orphan. It was Chloe who had given me a home. Someone once asked her why she didn't sell the old place. "Let's keep it," she'd said. "It's a good place to hide when one of us is upset." My feelings for Chloe were complicated. There was love and gratitude. I thought we could live out our lives together, quietly and simply. I sighed and went to the bathroom to wash up. Chloe had brought breakfast, and I didn't hesitate to eat. After I finished eating, I asked her, "His name is Liam. Your ex-boyfriend." The photo album was sitting on the table. Neither of us was a fool. "Yes," she said. I looked up at her. "Chloe, what are you doing? Bringing your ex-boyfriend into our home, letting him wear my shirt, blow-drying his hair for him? Are you trying to stage some real-life drama for me about long-lost lovers rekindling a flame? Believe it or not, there's nothing going on between us." I shook my head. "I don't believe you." Chloe's face darkened as she looked at me. After a moment, she rubbed the bridge of her nose and placed 2 receipts on the table in front of me. "He slept at the house last night. I stayed at a hotel. Here's the receipt. I can get the security footage if you need it. Nothing happened between us." That's a fact. I didn't even look at the receipts. If she was brave enough to show them to me, they had to be real. But still, he stays at our house, and you stay in a hotel. Chloe, I just don't understand your logic. He just got back to the country. He doesn't know anyone here. I wasn't comfortable with him staying in a hotel by himself. Did he tell you that, or are you just being thoughtful? Stop being sarcastic, Ethan, Chloe chided. Just talk to me properly. With one thing piling on top of another, I had reached my breaking point. I want to talk properly, but are you being straight with me? He doesn't know anyone. You're not comfortable with him staying in a hotel alone? I stay in hotels every time I travel for work. When have you ever expressed a single word of concern for me? Is Liam Carter some kind of royalty? Why is it okay for everyone else, but not for him? Or is it just that he's different in your heart? As if I'd struck a nerve, Chloe shot to her feet. I stayed at a hotel. I told you nothing happened. What more do you want from me? Her words hit me like one blow after another. I was practically dizzy. I gripped the table for support and yelled until my voice was a raw whisper. A divorce. I want a divorce. Chloe's expression changed completely. Shut up, Ethan. You take that back right now, she said it through clenched teeth. I met her gaze, my own heavy with resolve. Chloe closed her eyes, her fists clenched. When she opened them again, the loss of control was gone. She said, "You want a divorce?" Impossible. And so Chloe and I entered a Cold War. I stayed at the old house. I didn't go looking for her, and she didn't come looking for me. I don't know what she was thinking. I was waiting for myself to calm down, to get to a point where I could handle this whole mess efficiently. One day, her assistant called me. "Ethan, did you and Ms. Davis have a fight?" The young woman, Sarah, had been a few years behind me in college and was very capable. When she was struggling to find a job, I had recommended her to Chloe. She had done well working for Chloe all these years. She was grateful and had always kept in touch. "What's wrong?" I asked. She hesitated for a second before saying, "Ms. Davis had a work dinner tonight and drank quite a bit. I was going to call you, but a man I didn't recognize showed up and drove her home in her car." After a few seconds of silence, I sent her the photo of Liam. "Was it him?" "Yes." Sarah's voice was laced with concern. "Ethan, are you okay?" I let out a small laugh. "I'm fine. Couldn't be better." It looked like divorce needed to be moved to the top of my agenda. The longer this dragged on, the more humiliating it would be for me. I'm a man of action. The very next morning, I had a lawyer draft the divorce papers. Chloe and I kept our finances separate, so the agreement was mostly a formality. When she saw me at her office, Chloe froze for a second before her expression went blank. "This is my office," she said. "Whatever it is, we can discuss it at home." I was sure we'd end up there, but not yet. I placed the divorce papers in front of her. "Sign them. It's still early. We can get to the courthouse." Chloe stared at the papers for a long time. "You came all the way here just for this?" The answer was so obvious I didn't bother to reply. Chloe simply tore the papers in half. Didn't I tell you a divorce was impossible? I acted like I hadn't heard her and pulled out another copy. She tore that one up too. I kept producing copies, and she kept tearing them, all the way to the 12th copy. Chloe's face was terrifyingly dark. Are you sure about this? I scoffed. Did she think I was here just to play games? She slammed the last copy onto her desk, grabbed a pen, and signed her name. Let's go to the courthouse. We drove in separate cars and arrived at the courthouse one after the other. We were lucky it wasn't crowded, so we didn't have to wait long. The clerk asked, "Are you both sure about this?" I nodded. "I'm sure." Chloe's eyes were on me. "And you, are you sure?" The moment I looked at her, she looked away. Her voice was ice. "I'm sure." "All right, I'll file the initial paperwork for you. You'll need to come back in a month to finalize it and get the decree." As I watched the clerk process the paperwork, I finally let out the breath I'd been holding. Just then, Chloe said, "Wait, is there a problem?" Chloe looked at me. "Ethan, are you absolutely sure you want this divorce?" "I'm sure." Chloe shot to her feet, knocking her chair over with a loud crash. "Ethan, you're heartless." Without another word, she turned and walked away. "What was that about?" the clerk asked. I was just as confused, but I ran after her. "Chloe, stop." "Chloe." She acted as if she couldn't hear me and kept walking. I jogged to catch up and grabbed her arm. What was that? Every muscle in her body was tense. "I'm going to say this one last time, Ethan. I am not divorcing you." My anger flared instantly. "What do you mean? What do you mean you're not divorcing me? Are you playing games with me?" Chloe took a deep breath. "Ethan, how long are you going to keep this up? Running away from home, demanding a divorce, all over something that never even happened? Do you think this is funny? You're exhausting me." I looked at her quietly. "I'm not making a scene, Chloe. I'm serious about the divorce." "Why?" Chloe's face was a mask of confusion. "Is it because of Liam? There is nothing between us, nothing. Why won't you believe me?" "How can I believe you? Let me ask you, where is Liam living now?" "In a place you arranged for him." "Does he not have a car? So you gave him one of yours? Why was he the one to pick you up when you were drunk? Where did you go after he picked you up? What happened?" I shook my head, a bitter laugh escaping my lips. "Actually, forget all that. Just tell me this. That night, if I hadn't come home, what would have happened?" "Nothing would have happened." Chloe was getting agitated. "I had already booked the hotel room. It was part of my plan. If you don't believe me, you can ask. I don't believe you." It was the second time I had said it. "Chloe, I don't believe you. It doesn't matter what you say or do now, how much proof you offer, it's no use. I don't believe you. I don't want to dig into what you did or what the two of you did. I just simply don't trust you anymore. That's all. I've always been good at cutting my losses. If I weren't, I wouldn't have survived this long. Life has been cruel to me, so I've had to learn to protect myself. I won't let anything drag me down because there's no one there to pull me up. I'm an orphan, but before I was even born, I was a posthumous child. My birth mother found out she was pregnant only after my father died in a car accident. She didn't want to have me, which was understandable. It was my grandparents who begged her. All she had to do was give birth to me. They would raise me. They gave her all of my father's inheritance and the settlement money from the accident. They used it to buy me from her. And so she gave birth to me. As soon as she recovered from childbirth, she took the money and left. My grandparents raised me. I have no feelings for my birth mother. No love, no hate, no longing. So I cut her out of my life. Later, my grandparents passed away, one after the other. I was in middle school then, just a kid, and I became a true orphan. Sadness, despair, longing. I gave myself 1 month to process it all, and then I started over. Later, someone offered to buy my grandparents' old house for $100,000. I agreed. Everyone said I was a fool, that it was a terrible deal, that they were taking advantage of a kid with no parents. But that was exactly why I knew I couldn't hold on to the house. If you can't protect something, you have to let it go. Besides, I needed the money. I had to pay for school, for my life, so I sold the house and left the town where I grew up. And now it was Chloe. She didn't give me an explanation right away, so now nothing she says will make me believe her. I don't want to become a suspicious, paranoid person. I won't let myself be consumed by this. Let's just get a divorce. Don't make this ugly. Impossible. My determination to get a divorce was matched only by her determination to stay married. I couldn't understand her at all. Since we couldn't agree, I decided to file for divorce. But what I didn't expect was that the day after I filed the papers, Chloe hit me with financial sanctions. She was threatening to terminate her company's contract with mine. Chloe and I had met through our companies. Back then, I had just graduated from college and started a business with a few friends. We were young and full of ambition, thinking we could conquer the world, but reality was much harsher than we had imagined. We had no capital, no connections. No one wanted to invest in us. No one would even give us a chance to pitch our ideas. There were too many people like us, full of passion and trying to start a business. Just as we were about to give up and find regular jobs, a company reached out to us. They said they were willing to talk. It felt like we had been thrown a lifeline. Who knew it was just that, a straw? The woman in charge told me, "Be mine for a year, and I'll give you anything you want." I refused without a second thought, but she wouldn't let it go. In the ensuing chaos, I hit her over the head with a wine bottle. I was arrested. The woman threatened to make sure I rotted in jail. I was prepared for the worst, but then Chloe appeared. She was like a savior. She handled the situation effortlessly, bailed me out, and then sent her people to discuss a partnership with my company. I assumed she had ulterior motives too, so I started taking off my clothes in front of her, piece by piece, but she put them back on me, one by one. "You don't have to do this," I asked her. "Why are you helping me?" She said, "Let's just say I feel sorry for you." I gladly accepted her pity. There was no reason to be offended. I was, after all, pitiful. And just like that, with Chloe's help, our company took off. But now she was using it to control me. I had to admit, she had me right where she wanted me. I went to her office and asked, "What do you want?" Chloe looked up at me. "Withdraw the divorce petition," she said. We stood in a standoff. Her calm demeanor made her position clear. I laughed. "That's it. Fine. I'll withdraw it immediately. Anything else?" My quick agreement didn't seem to please her. Her brow furrowed. After a moment, she asked, "When are you moving back in? Is that also part of the deal?" Chloe's lips pressed into a thin line. "Fine, I get it. I'll move back in today. Is that good enough for you?" Chloe tossed her pen onto the desk. "Get out." "As you wish." The smile I had plastered on my face vanished the moment I got into my car. I hated this feeling of being under someone's thumb. Not by anyone, not even Chloe. I made a call. "Is everyone at the office?" "Wait for me. We're having a meeting." The meeting went on for hours, lasting until the early morning, but it didn't achieve what I had hoped. My plan was to find a new partner. The market was huge. Chloe's company wasn't our only option. If she could pull the plug on us at any time, we should be able to switch partners just as easily. But my partners disagreed. They had grown comfortable and preferred stability over change. The terms Chloe offered were too good to pass up. Terminating the contract with her, no matter how we did it, would mean taking a financial hit. Their position was, as long as Chloe was willing to work with us, she was the first choice. They even tried to reason with me. "It's a small thing, Ethan. Why make a big deal out of it? Chloe is an amazing woman. It's normal for men to hit on her. Be the bigger person. As long as her heart is with you and your home, that's all that matters." I scoffed at their words. I guess this is what they mean by irreconcilable differences. It seemed it was time for me to pull out, but I needed some time before I could leave. I needed time to make sure my buyout wouldn't be devalued. So I moved back in. When I got back to the condo, Chloe was still awake. She was in the living room, a laptop on her lap. When she saw me, she took off her glasses. "We need to talk." I shut her down immediately. "I'm tired. Some other time." Chloe's expression hardened. I pretended not to notice and went straight to the guest room. I didn't know which room Liam had slept in that night, what he had touched, what he had used. All I knew was that everything in this house now felt contaminated. In the end, I grabbed a sheet and spent the night on the sofa. But when I woke up, I was in the bed. My face fell instantly. Chloe was in the kitchen frying eggs. I demanded harshly, "Who told you you could move me?" Chloe stopped what she was doing. She took a deep breath. I changed all the sheets and the duvet cover. "They're clean." I gritted my teeth. "It doesn't matter. Right now, even the air in this house makes me sick." "Ethan," Chloe hissed, "you're going too far. He stayed for one night and nothing happened. What is wrong with you?" I looked at her and sneered. "What's wrong with me? Maybe when you find me wearing another woman's clothes with my legs exposed, leaning sexily into her arms while she blow-dries my hair, then you'll understand." "You wouldn't dare." Chloe's eyes blazed with fury. I shook my head calmly. "It's not that I wouldn't dare. I just wouldn't because I have some decency. Do you? It's disgusting, Chloe. And I parted on bad terms. She scraped the breakfast into the trash and went back to her room, her face a cold mask. I wasn't any more polite, slamming the front door on my way out. And just like that, we were back to a Cold War. I was busy, leaving early and coming home late. Chloe was busy too. For days, we didn't even cross paths. During that time, I was meeting with people. People discussing the sale of my shares in the company. My partners at the company should have been the first people I approached, but their position was crystal clear. They weren't on my side. To maximize my profit, I had to look for outside buyers. The only courtesy I extended was to sell my shares to multiple parties. At least that way no single new shareholder would have a controlling interest. Whether my old partners decided to buy back the shares later was their problem. The negotiations went smoothly. As the payments cleared, I officially exited the company. They were furious and confronted me. They were red in the face, ready for a fight. It was an ugly scene. I gave you a choice, and you turned it down. Actually, this is better. Chloe and I are bound to have a nasty fallout, and this way you won't get caught in the crossfire. Besides, it's not like you haven't thought about kicking me out before. They avoided my gaze. That's ridiculous. When did we ever think that? I was tired of it. That's because you were afraid of Chloe. Otherwise, you would have gotten rid of me as soon as I was no longer useful. With the company business settled, it was time to settle things with Chloe. But to my surprise, before I could go to her, Liam found me. He said he wanted to talk. I agreed. The moment we sat down, he demanded, "Why haven't you divorced her yet? How long are you going to keep clinging to Chloe?" His words made me laugh. "And in what capacity are you asking me this? As her lover? The other man? Does Chloe know you're here? Because she keeps telling me there's nothing between you two. Do you get what that means? You don't even qualify as the other man," I said, looking him up and down. "Besides, it's not me who doesn't want the divorce. It's Chloe who's refusing. Is this the best you can do?" Liam's face flushed with anger. "You're lying. How could Chloe not want a divorce? She doesn't even love you. If it weren't for..." Liam stopped abruptly. I looked at him, confused. If it weren't for what? If it weren't for what? A smug look crossed Liam's face, his eyes darting around. "Have you never wondered? You and Chloe are from two different worlds. Why would she suddenly show up in your life and help you for no reason? Ethan, you don't actually think that was all a coincidence, do you? You're so naive." I asked him, "What are you trying to say?" Liam raised an eyebrow. "You want to know? Then beg me." I just looked at him for a moment, then let out a short, sharp laugh. "Then you'd better hold on to that secret. Don't you dare tell me," I said, getting up to leave. Liam panicked. "Ethan, wait." I didn't stop walking. "Ethan." I pushed the door open to leave. "Wait." Liam raised his voice. "Come back. I have something to show you." A corner of my mouth lifted, and I calmly sat back down. Liam had lost his earlier arrogance. Good. Now we could talk. With a cold expression, Liam cut to the chase and pulled a photograph from his satchel. He pushed it across the table to me. "This is Chloe and her adoptive mother," he said. I glanced down at it casually. The girl in the photo was about 5 or 6 years old, small and thin with dark skin. I wouldn't have recognized her as Chloe if Liam hadn't told me. Just as I was wondering why he was showing me this, I looked at the woman and froze. A long-forgotten image surfaced in my memory. I had seen this woman before. Back home, at the very bottom of my grandmother's clothes-filled wardrobe, tucked away, was a dark red booklet. On its cover were the words, "Marriage Certificate." Inside there was a photograph. 2 people were in the photo. One was my father, who had died long ago. The other was my mother, who had run away. I didn't know much about Chloe's family. I only knew that her parents were deceased, and that she had no siblings or other relatives. She was an orphan, just like me. The only difference was that she had money and I didn't. Every so often, Chloe would go visit her parents' graves. I had offered to go with her once, but she refused. "You don't have to," she'd said. Her refusal also made me drop the idea of taking her to visit my grandparents' graves. Sometimes I wondered if our way of being together was right. I never had an answer. I had no experience with other relationships, no elders to guide me. In the end, I could only tell myself to let it be. And now Liam was telling me that those 5 years had been a joke. Liam told me that Chloe was an orphan, a true orphan, the kind who grew up in an orphanage. But she was lucky. When she was 6, she was adopted by a wealthy couple. The couple was childless and treated her as their own, especially her adoptive mother, who couldn't have loved a biological child more. Her adoptive father passed away from an illness when she was 12, and her adoptive mother was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer 6 years ago. She held on for 6 months before she passed away too. Before she died, Chloe's adoptive mother told her that she had a son. She said she had wronged her son and hoped Chloe would find him and take care of him. And guess who that son was? Liam looked at me, a twisted smile spreading across his face. Chloe and I were deeply in love back then. She suddenly broke up with me, saying she had to fulfill her mother's dying wish. But why? She was my girlfriend. How could she just throw me away like that? She had to fulfill her mother's wish. But what about me? Ethan, look how lucky you are. Your mother thought of you even on her deathbed. She had Chloe pave the way for you. But what about me? Why did our love have to be sacrificed for your family drama? I took the photograph from Liam. As I was leaving, he called out, Ethan, you'll divorce her, right? I will, I said. But are you sure you want to take back someone who was able to discard you so easily? I sent Chloe a message on WeChat. We need to talk. We agreed to meet at the condo. She arrived half an hour after I did. She loosened her tie and sat down. What about? Where to even begin? I decided to just be direct. I placed the photograph on the table in front of her. So, your adoptive mother was my birth mother. The hand Chloe was using to undo her cuff links froze mid-action. Who gave you this? I shook my head. That doesn't matter. Let's talk about something that does. Liam. Chloe sank onto the sofa. Deceived. I should have known. He's the only other person who's seen that photo. So, is there anything you'd like to tell me? Silence. A long, heavy silence. Just when I thought she was going to remain silent, she began to speak. And from her, I heard the full story. My adoptive mother was a remarkable woman. She built her own cosmetics brand from the ground up. Later, she met my adoptive father, and they got together. My adoptive father was infertile, so my adoptive mother suggested they adopt a child from an orphanage. That's how they found me, Chloe said. Meeting them, becoming their child, was the luckiest thing that ever happened to me. But the good times didn't last. My adoptive father passed away, and then my adoptive mother was diagnosed with cancer. She looked at me as she spoke. It wasn't until then that I knew you existed, Ethan. I need you to understand, she always thought about you. She never forgot you. The reason she was so good to me was to make up for what she couldn't give you. She transferred all the love she owed you onto me. She loved you. Her greatest wish before she died was for you to have a good life, and for you to forgive her. I'm so sorry I kept this from you for so long. As I listened to her, I kept waiting for myself to break down or explode with anger, but nothing happened. I was calm, unprecedentedly calm. I'm sorry for your loss, I said, my voice flat. Chloe looked at me, stunned. Is that all you have to say? I thought for a moment. Then, for the sake of our shared mother, let's have an amicable split and get this divorce over with as soon as possible. Ethan. Chloe said my name, but nothing followed. After a moment, she said, Do you still hate her? She's gone. Can't you find it in your heart to forgive her? I let out a long breath. Hate her? Not really. If I had to describe my feelings about it, I'd say it's just tainted. Ethan, shut up. I snorted. Fine, what do you want to hear? That I forgive her, that I love her, that she was the best mother in the world, and I'll be grateful to her for the rest of my life. Are you satisfied? I can even go to her grave and say it if you want. So can we talk about the divorce now? Ethan, I know my name. You don't have to keep repeating it. Chloe suppressed her anger. I know this is a lot to take in. There's no rush. We can talk about it again when you've had time to think. I waved my hand dismissively. No, let's talk now. Tell me what you want. What do you need from me? I'll even visit her grave every year if that's what it takes. Just give me a divorce. Just let me go. Every word, every second I spent with her now felt unbearable. It was like finding half a fly in my sandwich. Ethan, I won't divorce you. I promised my mother I would take care of you. Great. Now I'd swallowed the other half. Chloe, I don't want to speak ill of the dead, especially not your mother, but you're forcing my hand. Chloe frowned, her expression resistant. You said your adoptive mother was a remarkable woman who built her own cosmetics brand. Do you know where she got the money for that? Chloe didn't know, but I did. It was the money paid out for my father's life. Do you know how cruel she was? The settlement from his accident, all his savings, she took every last cent. She was afraid my grandparents would stop her from leaving, so she pretended she was just taking me for a walk. She abandoned me behind a barn to buy herself time to get away. It was winter. I almost died back there. That's impossible. Chloe denied it instinctively. I continued. I don't hate her. Hating her would be a waste of energy. To me, she's just a stranger. But you keep insisting that she loved me, that she cared about me. But where was she when my grandparents and I were breaking our backs, scraping a living from the dirt? Where was she after my grandparents died, when people threatened to sell me if I didn't sell them the house? Where was she when I was being bullied so badly I almost took a knife to someone, ready to die with him? Where was she my sophomore year of college, when all my money for tuition and living expenses was stolen, and I almost jumped off a roof? So why bother? Without feelings, she's a stranger. With feelings, she can go to hell. Every word I spoke seemed to drain the color from Chloe's face. I didn't know. We didn't know. My mother wanted to make it up to you, Ethan. She just didn't know how to face you. I scoffed. How difficult for her. She could have lived a life of comfort and ease, but instead she had to let the thought of me, this piece of grit, wear away at her conscience. I should be so ashamed. That's not what I meant. Chloe tried to explain, but she was never good with words. The emotional turmoil was making me feel sick. I pressed my fingers to my temples. You people are really something else. She felt guilty about me, so she compensated you. Was I dead? If she felt guilty, shouldn't she have compensated me? She got cancer and was afraid she wouldn't be able to rest in peace, so she dumped the responsibility on you. That way she could die with a clear conscience. And you had a debt to repay, a mission to complete, so you married me. How wronged I am in all this. I looked at her, genuinely curious. Why did you think marrying me was the best way to compensate me? Did you think I couldn't find a wife on my own? You would have been better off just giving me money, seriously. Chloe, let's get a divorce. I came from her. There are birth records, a birth certificate. It would be very easy for me to prove I'm her son. If you still refuse, my only option is to take you to court and fight for my share of the inheritance. I said a lot that day, rambling on and on. After her initial few sentences, Chloe just listened quietly. We both knew there was no going back for us. A divorce was inevitable. I gave her 3 days. Finally, she agreed. This time, she drafted the agreement. She gave me the majority of her assets, company shares, and other things I didn't bother to examine closely. I didn't care about any of it. My therapist once told me that my biggest problem was a lack of desire. I didn't want anything, not even money. It makes sense. I have no one from my past, and no one in my future. He asked, what is it you want most in the world? You need to find something to want, otherwise I might lose the will to live altogether. I thought about it for a long time, and then I told him, I want to be loved. I worked hard, lived hard, tried to be a better person, also that someone might love me. But Chloe had destroyed all of that. She had ruined 5 years of my life. I disliked her, but I couldn't bring myself to hate her. I couldn't let her leave that deep of a mark on me. I had to remind myself that she had at least helped me. Whatever her reasons, she had saved me when I was in trouble. All I needed to do was let her go, cut my losses. That's what my therapist told me. You have to decisively let go of the things that are pulling you down, he'd said, and move forward without looking back. The person who will love you is waiting up ahead. Chloe and I filed for divorce at the courthouse, and a month later it was finalized. I decided to leave Chicago. Liam left too. He said, it's all so pointless. I spent all these years unable to get over her, and for what? Do you think I just wasted all those years? By the way, I'm sorry for getting involved in your life. I apologize. I didn't forgive him, but I didn't hate him either. He was just a passerby in this garbage period of my life. He tripped me, and I got scraped up. I just had to dust myself off, get up, and keep moving forward. I wouldn't look back. Real heroes never look back. I felt proud of that. It wasn't until Ethan left the city that Chloe truly began to understand him. Before, Ethan had just been an obligation to her, a debt to be repaid. Marrying him, giving him resources, giving him money, she thought that was enough. Ethan was just a vague symbol, more two-dimensional than a piece of paper. She hadn't seen Ethan preparing her remedies. She hadn't seen him trying to make her laugh. She hadn't seen his hope, and she hadn't seen his disappointment. Forcing him to spend 5 years with someone as blind as she had been was truly a cruel twist of fate. 3 months after he left, Chloe found out that he had been seeing a therapist. The therapist refused to discuss his patient's case, but he did say, for Ethan, just living is a difficult thing, but he always tried so hard. He's the strongest patient I've ever had. From that day on, Chloe started searching for Ethan. She wouldn't disturb him. She just wanted to know that he was okay. A year later, she found him in a small city in Oregon. He wasn't alone. He was holding the hand of a small child who was just learning to walk. For a moment, Chloe's heart stopped. She booked the next flight out and flew to the city. She saw him. He was thinner, but his features had softened. Ethan was surprised to see her. Long time no see. For the first time in her life, Chloe was at a loss for words. Long time no see. Her eyes kept drifting to the child. Ethan was smart. He understood immediately. He gave a wry smile. Don't get the wrong idea. He's not mine. I adopted him. He's an orphan. Chloe's heart soared, only to come crashing down again. Ethan had been right. She had thought the child was his, from another woman, a secret he had kept from her. What a disappointment. And it was in that moment of disappointment that she realized how much she had wanted the child to be his, to be theirs. Chloe suddenly felt the urge to cry. What had she done? Can I come visit you again sometime? And the child? Ethan shook his head. It's better if you don't. Otherwise, I'll have to move, and that's a lot of trouble. A fresh wave of sadness washed over Chloe. She felt a profound loneliness. She didn't want to leave. She wanted to buy a house nearby just to be close to him, but she knew she couldn't. All she could do was say goodbye. Goodbye, Ethan. Ethan gave a faint smile. Take care of yourself, Chloe. Let's not see each other again. Ethan left again a week after her visit. He and the child were gone. His actions sent a clear message. Don't find me. Don't disturb my life. When Chloe heard the news, she drank all night. The pain in her stomach was so bad it brought tears to her eyes. But the person who used to make her remedies was gone forever. She gave up on searching for him again. She just wished him happiness.